Richard's going to read first, and then I'll read, and then Richard's going to read again. We've done a three-way, I guess, which is kind of topical, given the themes of our poems. And but do you want to talk about?
Well, we corresponded a little bit. Initially, the idea was we wanted to write about sex toys, and then this spectre of this kind of beautiful erotic book kind of popped up halfway through the correspondence, and we thought some images might be really helpful, especially with the sex book, which is called Variations on Sexual...
Variations on the Sexual Theme, but shall I talk about it? I'll talk about it when I read the poem.
Okay.
So do you want to talk about your...
we shouldn't just read...
Whatever this is. I've never seen this before.
Should we read the poem straight through, or you want to...
No.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well this is... So, Hannah, we talked about sex toys, so this is my experience with a sex toy. Remember when I ate to bottom, be submissive, after a lifetime of playground fisticuffs, and you urged patience, bought me a Valentine's Day gift of moulded silicone, this black root which shone like a newly hatched grub and glistened with spit when you put the tip into your mouth, pressed its stone warmth against my hole. Remember how I flinched and you bit my ear to distract me from this muscular shuddering, this movement of internal rose-wet flesh, this twisting. And somewhere near the centre of me, I could feel a dilating, like how a sea anemone releases its blood-rich tentacles into the saline current. Remember how I came in your hand then, external symbol made fetish. I tell you now that I have been waiting years to feel this brimming over, this stoppered up, this ripe fullness.
Shall I move? So our next image is, so I guess when Richard and I decided to collaborate, we had this idea, I had the idea that I was going to work with Richard, who's a fantastic writer of kind of erotic poetry, and that somehow I was going to write highly charged erotic poetry, having never written any before, like really let my hair down. But I haven't really let my hair down in years, to be honest. I've always worn a repressed kind of French pleat or bun. And so my poem kind of echoed that inability to really let go. But I did remember that the first vibrator I ever encountered was not in a sexual context. It was actually something that I found in my parents' drawer. My mum would kill me if she could hear me say this. And it wasn't just that I found, it was this book called Variations on a Sexual Theme, a kind of sex manual from which this image comes. And so I ended up buying this book on Amazon in order to kind of work collaboratively with Richard, and I sort of passed it under the pub table, didn't I, to you a week or so ago. But when I ordered it from Amazon, I mean, there's various kind of like market. It's an old book, right, from 1970, so there's various listings saying slightly stained cover, no thanks. But it came through with a little note saying, really hope you enjoy this book, Hannah. Love, Zed. Which I just thought was incredibly forward for this anonymous marketplace seller. So my poem is really about, I guess it's about innocence, and it's also, and knowledge. And it's also about the kind of ways in which young people talk about sex. Variations on a sexual theme. The first vibrator I ever saw, I found in a plastic bag at the back of a picked lock drawer. A flesh rubber pole I closed my hand around. I knew what it mocked, not what it was for. There were Durex too, in shiny pockets, and a book, hardback, gold lettering, a cream cloth cover. To look, I knew, was a crossing over, and so I looked, and found two lithe and naked lovers embraced in 40 monochrome positions, named 1 and 2 and 3, these easier, I suppose, than the willowy contortions of later pages. In one, the husband, stronger, one-footed, holds his wife in a clinging vine, lean bodies laced together. But in every supple stance, their long, dark hair screens their faces as though the sanctified deed was also disgrace. I took that manual to school, where the lunchtime braggadocio was all, I've had her up against the wall, she sucked me off, such cock and bull. But oh, those boys' high croaks were cruel. The worst thing you could be was what we were, virgins. But still, us girls got tagged. You slapper, you slag, as though to say the words aloud was most of the thrill. That day, before the class clock struck, my book passed desk to desk, slow flicking of its pages, and everyone a little quieter, hooked, I thought, by the beauty of those images. Outside, blue winter dark, the school's fish pond just visible from our high classroom, all murky and dim before the playing field, which ended where the woods began. That book came back to me by end of day in some boy's soft hands, and his look said what I knew already. We were not ready. Ashamed, I took it home. I laid it in its drawer and turned the key.
And then Hannah showed me the book. And didn't I imagine myself, the woman, shadow smothered under the flesh weight of him? Oh, how I ached to feel a man on top of me, muscle mass, skeleton, the litres of blood rinsing, ebbing. And didn't I imagine all sex to be anonymous, polymorphous knot of nameless limbs, eyeless features? And didn't I imagine myself inert, a warm nothingness, waiting to be quashed, pressed, breathless? How many nights did I lie in bed naked, waiting to be cracked open like a trilobite hidden within flint? How many men must I let fuck me from behind in pursuit of that sepia-stained oblivion? How often must I be unseen to vanish?